Hello and welcome to KeithTalks. I'm your host, Keith. And today I just wanted to tell you guys a couple of stories that I have off the top of my head. Just, a couple of things, honestly, were brought back to my recollection recently, like in the past week, I would say. So, they're just fresh on my mind. The first of which, I was at work talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and he said to me, "Wow, you have the worst memory I know of," because I forgot that I had lent him one of my tools. So, lo and behold, I am immediately brought to the thought of the time I forgot about our dog, my wife and I's dog. So basically, I would say probably a year and a half ago, maybe, we had dropped the dog off, or I should say my wife had dropped the dog off and said, "Oh, he's going to be ready at 3:45 or whatever time it was, and you're going to be on your way home at 4, so can you go pick him up on your way home from work?" So basically, I get in my car, I start driving home. I drive right past the grooming place. I get home, and my wife goes, "Where's the dog?" And I go, "What dog? What are you talking about?" She goes, "Where is our dog?" And I go, "I don't know. Where is he? Is he hiding under the table?" And she goes, "No, you idiot. He's at the groomers." I go, "Oh, fuck." And then I had to drive my ass back out to, 20 minutes away where the groomer was, because I forgot. My bad. I was told that this was because I had a concussion before, but I think that my memory loss is due to, the drug abuse. But speaking of concussions, I can tell you the concussion story. I was working at a mechanic shop, as I have been doing since I was 14. And I don't remember why. Oh, I think, you know what? I think that the guy, I was only like 18. So I was still pretty new to it, I would say. Interested in, different things that I'm seeing done. And basically, one of the older guys was putting in a lift kit on I think it was like a Ram or something. And so I walked over, I was looking at it, he was explaining to me what he was doing. I think he was working in the rear at that point, so he was probably just putting in the rear shocks, and I think they had spacers for the leaf springs, but that's neither here nor there. Basically, he was also a short guy. He was probably like 5'2", I would say. So I was over there talking to him, and then all of a sudden, I go to stand up, and I didn't realize how low the lift was. The lift is the thing that holds the truck up in the air, so you can work underneath it. I didn't realize how low it was, and I basically slammed the top of my head right into the bottom of this, inch thick steel that's meant to hold up a car. So I didn't think anything of it. I mean, I was in pain, of course, and then I walk away. I go back to whatever I was doing, probably like an oil change or whatever, and then maybe a minute and a half later, I start vomiting, like profusely vomiting. I couldn't stop myself. I was trying to get to a trash can to throw up, and then I threw up all over the floor. I couldn't stop myself, literally. And then I stopped, finally, like, I don't know, a minute later probably. And I was dizzy. I was a little out of it. And then my manager walked over to me and he was like, "Are you okay? You should probably like go home or go to the hospital or something. I think you might have a concussion." And then yeah, so actually, you know what? He didn't say that. I had called my mom and I was like, I just hit my head and I immediately threw up after, and now I'm really dizzy and, out of it. And she was like, "All right, I'm going to come pick you up. We'll leave your car there and I'll come pick you up and drive you to the hospital. So, just in case anything happens, you are fine." And so then I told my manager that, and he was like, "Why are you going to the hospital? You're fine. You're leaving?" And then I was like, "Yeah, dude, my mom thinks it's the best thing for me." And I'm a little nervous now because, I'm 18 years old and my mom just told me that I might have a major concussion. So then I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go." And he was like, "All right, well, clean up your vomit off the floor before you go," which I understand, I wouldn't want to clean anybody else's vomit up either, but I was like, man, that's such a dick move. Like, I'm clearly out of it. Fucking, I just thought it was a dick move. And then, a week later, probably, after we had figured out that it was just a minor concussion, I was pretty much fine, the normal issues. When I was trying to set up for workman's comp, because obviously it happened at work and I was going to be out of work for a little bit, my doctor told me not to go back to work for, I think it was like a month or something. So however long it was, I didn't end up going back to work there, because when I tried to set up for workman's comp, they were like, no, it's not our fault, it's not a work issue, blah 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 blah. So then we had to go through the state, and then the state, I think, sued them on our behalf because of it, or something like that happened. Maybe my mom actually sued them. I don't know exactly what happened, but we ended up getting money from them, and one of their 2 locations actually closed now, and I don't know if it's because of a lawsuit issue or anything like that, but I never went back to work for that place because of how they treated me when I got hurt like that. You know what I mean? I didn't feel comfortable working with them even. So then I found the job that I'm currently working at, actually, and I went there. Yeah. So yeah, that's my concussion story, which again was attested to my brain damage / memory loss, which, brain damage maybe, social awkwardness maybe, memory loss probably the weed and mushrooms that you did for 4 years straight, probably that, not the minor concussion, but whatever. I am a very forgetful person. But yeah, that's that. And there was another story about, you know what? It was a story about the time I was driving home from my ex-girlfriend's college. I hadn't stayed the night. It was probably like 10 o'clock at night. We had just hung out and then probably got dinner or something. So I'm driving home, and the town that her college was in, or at least right next to, is a very small town, I would say. Like there's one main road, and every other road looks like it's like a quote-unquote 2-lane road with no lines in the middle, like that tight. And it's all woodsy around there, like definition of small town. So I'm driving down one of these roads, and I'm probably going a little fast because I was like 18, not anything crazy. And then I get up behind this truck, and once I get to the truck, I'm not riding their ass or anything, but I am driving behind him. I'm probably behind him for, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes maybe. And then all of a sudden, he starts brake checking me and brake checking me and brake checking me. And I'm a scared little 18-year-old boy. I'm freaking out. And then all of a sudden, he slams on his brakes full force. And of course, I have to as well so that I don't hit him. And then he cuts his truck so that it's perfectly diagonal, blocking both lanes of the road. So I can't go around him. My only way out is backwards if I wanted to, evade whatever situation is about to happen. But of course, little 18-year-old Keith isn't thinking about that. And then all of a sudden, he hops out of his truck and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing? Why the fuck are you riding my ass? Get the fuck off of my ass. Stop using your high beams." He starts freaking out on me. And then I'm like, "Dude, listen, I'm not trying to ride your ass. I was just driving. I'm sorry if I was a little close. I didn't have my high beams on either, but I apologize." And then he got back in his car and he went, "Good, fuck you," or something like that. And then drove off. And that was that. That was my interaction with the psychopath who, tried to kill me for riding a little close to his truck. But yeah, people are crazy, man. Looking back, the only logical thing I should have done, or what I should have done, I should say, is I should have just backed up, or acted like I was even going to drive forward, pretend like I was going to drive into him or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, you never know. He could have had a gun or something, or a knife, and came over and tried to get into the car or slash my tires or something, You never know. The world's a crazy place now.
That story actually brings to memory another time I was driving at night. I had a friend who lived in an even more small town, believe it or not. So I was driving to his house. This was back when I was smoking weed, so I was probably high. I was driving to go get high with him too. It was probably like 10 o'clock at night, I would say. So I was driving to his house down these tiny little back roads. These ones are really, really curvy back roads, that's not really important. But basically, there is one light at a four-way intersection, and they, most of the time it's set for this other road that I'm not taking, the one perpendicular to the road I am taking. So I get to the light, I sit there, and there's a car in the left lane, and I'm in the right lane. So how it works is that there is no straight exactly, so you all go left, but then the right lane turns right, which is where I needed to go. So there's somebody sitting in the left lane already, and then I pull up into the right lane because that's where I need to go. So then the light turns green, and we both start going. And, I'm not driving fast or anything. I turn to the left, and then all of a sudden I see this guy in the car next to me start freaking out, and then all of a sudden he slams on his brakes, whips behind me, and turns right behind me, and starts riding my ass, flashing his high beams, So then I slow down, I stop, I pull to the side of the road, I let him go by, and then all of a sudden he pulls past me, and then once I start going again, he starts slamming on his brakes, and slamming on his brakes, and slamming on his brakes. So Then he comes to a complete stop. And now I've learned from the first time, because this is probably 2 or 3 years later, I cut to the left and I go around his car and I just drive away. And so then he's still following me. He starts riding my ass again. And then I decided, okay, so there's a straight, which is where I want to go, and then there's a right turn, which is like another, I don't want to say major road, but it's another road that people use as a cut-through, pretty much. So I take that right and pretend like I'm going down that way. So then all of a sudden, the guy takes the right. And then he's still high beaming me. And then all of a sudden, I see him cut around me as I'm probably going like 40 miles an hour. So and this is a small back road, 2-lane back road. You know, luckily there was nobody coming, but still. So then he cuts to the left of me into the other lane, into oncoming traffic, and he slams into the side of my car and then keeps going. And luckily, I also had the brain power to realize, I got to get this dude's license plate so I can at least, call the cops in the morning, because at that point it was like 11 o'clock probably. So yeah, I sped up enough that I could get his license plate, and then I slammed on my brakes and stopped. And then I look over and my mirror is gone. My driver's side mirror is gone completely. And then other than that, luckily, there was a little bit of his paint on my car, which the first time I went through a car wash, it came off, so, I can't complain about that, really. And yeah, so then I call the cops the next day, and they go, well, we can't do anything on the, now, because, you're not there still, and blah, blah, blah. And so basically that road was a shared, not shared, it was like the cutoff line between two towns, what do you call it? Like where their jurisdiction. It was the cutoff line between two towns' jurisdiction. So I call the first town, which is the town that my friend lives in, thinking, it's that town. Not that town. They were like, you can't come to us. You got to go to this other place. So then I call the other place, and they go, hang on, let us check if that's our jurisdiction. And then they go, okay, yes it is. So then I have to drive. He lives probably half an hour, 45 minutes away from me. So I have to drive back to this place the next morning so that I can go to the police station, which is even further. It's probably like 50 minutes. So then I go to the police station, and then basically I give them the license plate. I tell them the story exactly that I just told you. And then they go, all right, well, we'll be in touch if we hear anything back about this guy. So, I don't know, probably 2, 3, 4 days later, something like that. It was within a week. I get a call from the police department of this town, and they go, hey, we found this guy, but the car's not registered to him. I should say, we found the car, but the car's not registered to a person. It's registered to a rental car company. So this guy slammed into the side of me with this rental. And, what's crazy is he took off my mirror, but his car, not his car, but the rental car had a lot more damage. So his rental car company sued him, or his insurance company, I guess, for, I don't know, but I ended up getting like a $2,000 check because my mirror was broken, and it's a heated mirror. So,
I guess it worked out for me realistically. And I didn't do anything with that $2,000, to be honest with you, because I don't have a plan of getting rid of the car anytime soon, and I don't really give a shit. So, whatever. Yeah, and then I went in. I wasn't a mechanic for a while, so I went into a Subaru dealership, which is the kind of car I have, and basically, so the mirror was totally missing. Like, the glass piece was not there anymore. So I went to a Subaru dealership, and they were like, "Oh, hey, we have one of these mirrors. We'll just give it to you," because it was like one of the techs or something. So they gave me a mirror for free. So now I at least have a mirror. So it was great. I really can't complain. It worked out perfectly for me. Yeah, so moral of the story is don't drive at night or with crazy assholes near you, basically. Or keep a gun in your car maybe, or a knife in your car maybe, or I don't know, what's the moral of the story here? People suck. The world is scary now. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, at least I walked away from those situations. It could have been a lot worse. So, anyways, thanks for listening. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. You're all beautiful. And I hope you have an amazing day and week and weekend. I hope you have an amazing life. Thank you for listening.